So let's talk about messages extensions. In the messages extensions umbrella, there are two main types of applications. There are sticker packs and extension apps. Sticker packs refer to just art. They are graphic files that you provide that can be placed on top of iOS 10 messages. Sticker packs are simple applications that you can send to Apple without ever having to write any code. They're code-free apps and you just provide the art at the appropriate sizes. That's really all there is to say about sticker packs. So most of this course is going to be focused on the other type of messages extensions, which are extension apps. A messages extension app runs within the messages application. To go into more detail about messages extensions, they are apps or games that are played inside of the messages app. So you can think of them as mini apps. If you make a game, you actually do have the option of using SpriteKit. Though you'll have to customize the view controllers yourself, the technology is there and available. Next, messages extensions support two or more participants in a messages conversation. So you can already have a conversation going with somebody and then go to your extension app and start playing the game or creating a collaborative note or running whatever messages extension that you create with another person or more people than that if you want. Now, in order to make a message from an extension, you need to use iOS 10 or greater. But if you want to read a message, you can be using iOS 9 or macOS. A messages extension can be a standalone app or a companion to a full app. So unlike other extensions in iOS, you don't have to have a full app to create a messages extension. Finally, let's go over the limitations of messages extensions. You're going to run into layout size issues early on. Before going into your app in the full messages view, you're going to present your app in a compact view. This runs inside of the messages app, and it's where the keyboard is in iOS. And for that reason, when your app is in this compact size, you're not allowed to take text input. So if you put a text field when your app is in that view size and the user clicks on the text field or taps it, it's going to crash your messages extension. So you need to be aware of that when you're creating that. You can only have text input when your app is taking up the full messages area. We'll talk more about compact views and expanded views later on in the course. Something else to keep in mind is that unlike full iOS applications, your Messages app opens and closes when it's being used. So if the user taps on a message that you sent through your Messages extension, the Messages extension opens for that user, they send the message back to you, and then if they go out of the Messages app or go out of your application, that closes the Messages extension. So it does not run in the background like a standard iOS app because it's an appendage to an existing app, which is the Messages app. So to review, Messages extensions covers the topic of sticker packs, which are art-only applications that require no code whatsoever, and Messages extensions, which are mini applications which come with some limitations and run inside of the Messages app in iOS 10. You can create a Messages extension in two ways, either as a standalone project or as a target or an extension to an existing project. To create it as a standalone project, just create a new project as you would normally would, either from the welcome screen or from the file menu. Under iOS, choose iMessage application and hit next. Then give the product a name. I'll call this plain old notes. I'll hit next. I'll save the project in chapter 1, create extension final. If you're following along with the exercise files, choose the start folder instead. I'll hit create, and there's my Messages extension. So this is a standalone Messages extension app. If you want to create one that you add on to an existing project, you're going to open up that project and then go to File, New, Target. And then in there under iOS, you'll see iMessage extension. You can click Next from there and then give the product a name and then hit Finish. And then the same messages extension group will be added to your navigator in your project. So I'll cancel out of that. And so now I have my messages extension app, which is inside of this group. So I'm going to expand that in the navigator. And let's just look at what we get when we create a messages extension. So we have Messages View Controller, which is a Swift file. It's a subclass of MS Messages App View Controller, which is part of the Messages framework. If you highlight MS Messages App View Controller and look in the Quick Help area, you're going to see that it's a subclass of UI View Controller. So you're going to see those methods like viewDidLoad and didReceiveMemoryWarning. You'll also see some methods that are related to a Messages app extension, like willBecomeActive, didResignActive, didReceive, didStartSending, etc. The storyboard works similar to a standard storyboard. It contains your user interface files. Just remember when you're designing your user interfaces that these are not going to be full screen applications. They run within the Messages application. In compact view, your app is going to be about the size of the keyboard. In the expanded view, you're going to have the full screen minus the area for the top of the screen that shows the contact you're writing the message to and the bottom of the screen that has that message text field. So at this point, let's just run the application and see what we get when we run it without making any changes. So I'm going to change this to iPhone 7 and then just run the Messages extension app. When the app launches, I'm taken to this screen. So I can see recent, plain old notes, and images. These are my iMessage extension applications that are installed on the simulator. Now, when you run your application, you might actually not see the exact same screen. So what I want to point out is how to get to this screen if you're not already familiar with using it in iOS 10. So I'll click away, and we see our Hello World app and everything there. But if you're not seeing your Messages extension, you need to highlight this button here. This is the Messages extension applications button. So if it's blue, then you should see your applications in there. If it's not, you should see the keyboard, or maybe it will be minimized. So you have to hit that button. That takes you into the applications. If you still don't see your Plain Old Notes application, then you want to hit this button to show all of your different extensions, or you can swipe left or right to go between extensions. So hit that button and then choose Plain Old Notes from there, and that should take you into the appropriate extension. I want to point out that if you look at in Xcode and you select this Hello World text field, it's centered horizontally and vertically. When we look in the simulator, however, the horizontal and vertical center does not apply to just the window of my application, which is this rectangular area here. It's applying to the whole area, including the bottom of the screen. So just keep that in mind when you want to center something vertically in the screen. It's based on this whole area when it's in this compact view. You'll also notice that we're using the same view controller for both views. So we're going to look at throughout the course how we can use different view controllers and how to use auto layout so that we have full control over how our layout looks in both the expanded view and the compact view. So to review, when you want to create a Messages extension as a standalone application, you create a new project. If you want to create it as an extension of an existing application, you create a new target.